Right. I think, social media, or the new media as it's called, plays a very, very important role in terms of strengthening democracies. We have seen in other parts of the world, like in the US and other parts, where social media has been used as a tool to mobilize people toward a certain cause, good cause, and that has been really great. In the context of Kenya, we have seen how social media, the IBC uses social media to inform the public, to educate the public, and different social media users also utilize social media to spread, their manifesto, their agenda, which I think, if you look at it from that front, it's good. We've also seen certain social media users using social media to hold leaders to account on certain aspects. And I think that is the beautiful side of social media. But there is the ugly bit of it where social media has also been used as a tool of propaganda. And we have seen a lot of that during this election. We saw, certain, people coming out with certain short clips, tweaking speeches and all that, and being shared by certain prominent persons across social media. And this creates perceptions and creates some sort of divisive perception amongst the followers. And this has been a problem that, to some extent, even led to some spots, some pockets of conflict and chaos. And that is the ugly side. It's been used as a tool for propaganda, for disinformation, for misinformation. And I think to that extent, and based on what Sylvia said, I think it is important that we reinforce regulations around that. I know we have the articles on freedom of expression, I think Article 33. And that is okay, but expression also comes with limitation. And so I think it is important that we see how to govern that area. But also I think the media also played a very important role during this period in terms of fact-checking. You are NTV, I know NTV, your Nation Africa was always at the forefront, challenging certain misleading content and labeling them as fake, We also saw Twitter, for example, flagging certain posts by certain political leaders, terming them as unverified. And I think we tried our bit, and media tried its bit to try and manage the disinformation and misinformation aspect of it. But
is that entirely accurate? Do you have an example of a case where the media addressed misinformation?
I think there was an instance where was it Jeanette or Joho who did some posts, and we had media coming out and issuing clarification around that and posting the right content. And I think to that extent, then that's really good, because if certain misinformation goes unchecked, then we have seen in the past that it can lead to chaos, to violence, to political violence, which is really bad, especially during such a highly polarized period in a country.
Okay. Yeah. But speaking of confidence, new media, and I don't call us old, traditional media. Sam, when we were carrying those numbers, right? So we all told we all had access to these forms. The media, go ahead, do your own count, call the election for yourselves. And then at some point, it appeared that it stalled. Then the numbers changed. Now it was the numbers that Chebukati was announcing from the Bomas of Kenya, as well as the other commissioners as well. So we decided, okay, let's now go with those numbers that have been verified. Kenyans now are looking at the various media and they're saying, I'm seeing something different on KTN, I'm seeing something different on NTV, I'm seeing something different on Citizen. And they were saying, if you're a Raila supporter, watch Citizen. If you're a, the numbers, to moderate those emotions we're talking about. In this instance, do you think people had more confidence in their sources of news off of social media or the new media than what they were seeing or what they were receiving from the traditional media? Sylvia.
I remember the famous quote during the election period: if your fifth is not fifthing where you're watching, there's somewhere they're fifthing. Yeah. Go watch that. And that was interesting. I think at some point you just had to like shut it down and like, okay, at this point we don't know what's going on. Yep. Where it felt like we're being managed. It's just like, okay, let's hold the temperatures down. Then at the end of it, all of it will come at once. To some extent, I think it worked. But it was, I think at that point, people turned to social media for a bit of comic relief and also, again, to manage expectations. So if just social media at that point helped people to understand, okay, everyone is like, okay, we're winning. And if you watch mainstream media, you are winning. So you can hold to you can hold to that expectation, you can hold to that hope until the final declaration.